that white Americans have feared pretty much since Jim Crow. That one day a charismatic figure, maybe someone like me, might gain a large and influential black following, maybe from starting a YouTube channel, and humbly play a congenial and safe elder to amass resources and nominal fame, all while building trust with everyone, using the platform to subtly disseminate pro-black media with hidden messages at a subtextual level, maybe in a way similar to how we saw in The Blackening, where only black people fully get the message. Waiting to hit 1 million subscribers, only to activate this large audience, unbeknownst to you all, for a great day of revolution and retribution on our oppressors and their descendants, for literal generations of conflict and strife, with the real fear not being that we could be capable of such things, but that if we were, we'd be more than justified for some get back due to everything we suffered in this country. And that deep down inside, you realize that if it happens, you deserve it. In fact, you deserve worse. Isn't that scary? Wouldn't that be scary, y'all?
As a description of not white people, but all people, was in fact the foundation of America's political philosophy. People are greedy. Give them a chance, they'll beat you up. Give them a chance, they'll kill you, rape you,
that's not
rob
what the
you.
group is saying.
That was exactly, if I may say so, the view of human beings, not just white human beings, but most human beings.
Have we moved somewhat off this animalistic, primitive?
The point is, however, that the point that I think I hear, at least, of what Sister Soldier says and others say, has less to do, we talk about all this economic redistribution and so forth. Let's talk about the basic issue of politics. The basic issue of politics is power. If you have power over me, you're going to abuse it. If I have no power to resist you, then I'm going to be abused. And I don't care what's in your heart. I don't want to know what's in your heart half the time. I want to know whether there's a weapon in your hand and whether I have the means to defend myself against it. Could be economic, could be social, could be political, could be physical, but I've got to be able to defend myself because I can't trust you. And that's an American statement. That is not a statement of some idealism.
There is no human soul to be found anywhere?
That's not the point. The point is that if you give people power over you and you can't defend yourself against them, our founders said they will abuse you. And the world, if I don't mind my saying so, from a black person's point of view, I don't have to prove to you that somebody's out to get me. There are 400 years of history in this country that people are out to get me, and they got me more than half the time. I don't have to prove that to anybody.
Jonathan Kozol.
I've been thinking about this concept for a few days, so I want to share it with you. The concept is winners, losers, and strategy. All winning teams have one thing in common: the best people. Not the nicest people, not the most agreeable people, not even the most likable people, but the best. Talent, vision, and resilience win games. Teams that lose often do so because they don't have the right people in the right positions. Strategy matters, but strategy without the right players is like a flawless playbook handed to amateurs. Winners are not always nice. In fact, they rarely are. Because when you win, you stay winning, and you stay winning, you begin to understand that your spot is not just desired, but actively hunted. Every competitor wants your place, and they will study you, dissect you, and try to undermine you. That is the unspoken truth of Kendall Jenner's secret journal. Survival at the top requires a hard skin, a ruthless edge, and a refusal to dilute your position to make others comfortable. As a black girl, I've never been invited to the team in a traditional sense. I've had to build my own lane, one that by necessity excludes other races of women because there is no such thing as a universal experience of womanhood. My role models aren't on the covers of mainstream magazines. My hobbies aren't celebrated on TikTok trends. My jokes land flat outside of their cultural context, and yet this isolation has sharpened me. It's forced me to craft a winning formula without validation from the crowd. That's why the corporate culture fit question is misleading. Teams say they want someone who fits, but what they really mean is they want someone who plays their way. Winning isn't about fitting in, it's about leveraging different strengths. If you only look for your own reflection in others, you'll miss the brilliance that doesn't look like you. You won't recognize Ethiopian beauty if your eyes are trained only on Slavic women. You won't respect a different skill set if you're measuring it against your own. America, in particular, suffers from this blindness. Many of its winning players have decided they no longer want to play for Team America, and the country hasn't figured out how to draft new talent. Meanwhile, China has quietly stacked its roster with disciplined strategy and long-term investment. They're not chasing clout. They're playing to win. Winning, then, is not an accident. It is about identifying the right players, respecting differences in strengths, and protecting your spot with a kind of cold clarity. It's not kindness that makes champions. It's vision, selection, and the will to keep playing even when everyone wants you off the court. I thought about that concept because I do think that there's this idea that culture fits and being able to identify and actively engage with characteristics that are similar to you are going to lead to success. And I just think that that is so wrong. And I've seen that be wrong many times. When you see someone who is better than you, you can do one of two things. You can either work on yourself and get better, or you can market to other people around you, maybe away from the person who's actually more talented than you, that you are the best because you are all they've seen. I do think that America is using a strategy that's more of like the second wave. I think this is like the Zendaya strategy. It's a very weird thing to say, but it's like, let's market this girl as being like the best that we have. It isn't the best that we have, but let's market it that way and then send it out to others. The problem is the person with the actual skills set or the raw potential, the raw talent that was present in the first place, maybe the person who is being pushed is seen first. But typically people will remember that when they are able to compare the two, and usually everyone is, it's very clear who is deserving and who is not. This is kind of like one of the things I think is very interesting about the hyper critiques of Beyonce, as though she weren't always going to be great. Beyonce has quite a lot of beauty and quite a lot of talent. Like, I don't know vocally who is like even out singing her. I couldn't name a person. She like, and her whole package is around her singing. Like, she's a singer. So there's all of these other things that make the craft together like a finished product. I do feel like over time she's been able to deliver finished products that tell a very specific message. So it's very difficult for you to like misinterpret the message because it's so blatant, it's so clear, it's so evident. Other people aren't able to do that as well. So it's strange to hear, others compare themselves to her and really kind of seriously state that they believe, that's just one example, but I feel like you could put in anyone who's great. Michael Jackson. I've got to give it to Chris Brown. People have been talking about his Breezy Bowl and how, he's doing all these shows. I do think that Chris Brown has paved a way in his career, in his particular path, and we're just talking about his raw talent. It's just not, I don't know who to compare that to. Like, I definitely think that in terms of his performance ability, it is very clear he's heavily inspired by Michael Jackson and has attempted time after time to like fully embody that greatness. And I think that especially as he continues going, there's just certain eras, right, that Chris Brown is having that are like, it's his own era. I don't know. I'm not even a part of the fan base, but it is very clear that the fan base is having moments. And like those moments are they're eras for that community of people. And like just because I'm not a part of it doesn't mean that those eras aren't happening. They certainly are. And all those people are having moments. And I do think that is something that comes in with being great. I also feel like I'm having a moment, and I feel like I've had one for a while. It's not a moment, like an era. It's more like an era of reflection, an era of unpacking, right? I think that there were so many issues that I bottled up, right? And I didn't want to express feelings about. And there were multiple issues at one time. So sometimes it becomes very difficult to unpack one problem when there's like 17 other problems that are all hitting you at the same time. And I talked about this yesterday in my video about the concept introduced in the toxic educational experiences. What did we call that? It was called allostatic load. So when your allostatic load is too large, you have too many stressors. And so it's very hard to move forward when that is the case. Yeah.